Now on CoastTV News.
Botanic Gardens Grow. A ribbon cutting marks new additions that bring more learning and activities to Dagsboro. Fines for fast drivers. DelDOT is installing a speed camera near Lewes. What it could cost you if you're caught speeding.
Brighter and days are in store for your weekend, and you don't want to miss the forecast.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Jimmy Kimmel off the air, but controversy on the rise. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Well, ABC's decision to indefinitely pull Jimmy Kimmel's late night show from the airwaves has sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. And as Karen Kaifa reports, it's sparking concerns about the Trump administration cracking down on free speech.
President Donald Trump traveling in the United Kingdom Thursday, brushing off free speech concerns after ABC's sidelining of late-night host Jimmy Kimmel back home.
He said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk, and Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
Kimmel's indefinite suspension was announced Wednesday, and just hours after Federal Communications Commission Chair Brendan Carr threatened to take action against ABC and parent company Disney if they did not address comments Kimmel made about the MAGA movement's reaction to the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Carr on CNBC Thursday morning said broadcast television licenses require a certain standard.
I've been clear, we're reinvigorating the FCC's enforcement of public interest, and it's a good thing.
But some Democrats fear a Trump administration crackdown on free speech and expression.
Donald Trump, in the wake of the tragic murder of Charlie Kirk, has decided to exploit that tragedy to try to silence his political opponents. I think Kimmel is just the beginning.
Some Republicans arguing ABC simply made a business decision.
ABC is a private company, and they can make their own choices on who they want to wear their brand, so to speak.
Despite declining viewership for late-night TV, Kimmel's program has been holding an audience, especially among the key demographic of viewers ages 25 to 54. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
And today, protesters were seen outside of Jimmy Kimmel's studio in Los Angeles. You can see here they're holding up signs. One of them, you can see it says, "Cancel Disney Plus." Now, a group of Democratic lawmakers is introducing legislation partly in response to Kimmel being canceled. They say it's called the No Political Enemies Act, or the NOPE Act. Sponsors say the bill would protect groups like nonprofits, schools, and media from politically motivated government harassment. Also, they say it would reaffirm the First Amendment and create enforceable safeguards. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen is one of the sponsors. He said in part today, quote, "This politically motivated weaponization of government clearly defies the First Amendment and demands action from Congress," unquote. Well, the suspect in a Lincoln shooting this morning is still at large. We told you about it earlier. Delaware State Police investigating the shooting that happened around 6:30 a.m. Troopers say they responded to Fleetown Road. That's the area you see on your screen now. And DSP says an unknown person entered a home through a door that was unlocked and shot a 66-year-old man while he was sleeping. Troopers say he was hit in the chest, and that man was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Route 1 is about to get its first speed camera. DelDOT says they'll be installing a camera along southbound Route 1 near Lewes, just before the Nassau Bridge. The camera will catch speeders going into the construction zone at Minnows-Conaway Road. Anyone going at least 11 miles over the speed limit will be caught by the camera, and they will be issued a base fine of $20 plus an extra $1 for every mile over. DelDOT says other roads with similar cameras have seen decreases in speeding, also decreases in accidents. Business owners along Route 1 tell us speeders have made the area dangerous.
What I've seen the most is actually accidents. I've actually seen a lot of airlifts right in front of our store. So we've been here a year and 2 months, and in that time I've probably seen 15 to 16 pretty bad accidents.
Wow, and DelDOT says it expects to have that camera installed by the end of the year. The Delaware Botanic Gardens held a ribbon-cutting ceremony today to celebrate the opening of their gallery garden and Annette Pannoni Meadow Pavilion. The new additions will provide more educational opportunities for visitors, also more activities for the center.
Major programs for children, and also outreach programs for the community, whether it be for children, teenagers, or adults. There's many opportunities now, especially with the gallery garden and the Pannoni Pavilion, but also venues. I mean, we can have weddings, large weddings, small weddings.
And the evening also doubled as the garden's annual charity dinner. Now we are looking live into Lewes, and our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams joins us now with a check on the forecast. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening to you. And it is indeed a pleasant evening all the way around. We're looking at the clearing of the skyline. We're actually going to start enjoying mostly clear skies for the rest of the evening. We're at 66 degrees currently in Lewes, dew point of 64. Now we're expecting the clear skies and that pattern to stay in play. Thanks to high pressure and full control of our weather, we'll drop down to 65 degrees. We're in the 65 range for us in Millsboro, as well as Bridgeville, and we're at 64 degrees in Gumboro, as well as Ocean Pines. Now, we're about where we were this time yesterday, but we had a few sprinkles yesterday. Now, all that's just ground clutter right now. It's like static in those old-fashioned TVs that I grew up with, all right? But we're staying very quiet, and we have a trough that's just to our west, but it's very inert at this point, not really causing much of a problem for us and concern. Here's a look at your evening planner. For 11 o'clock, we're expecting 66 degrees, staying in the 60s. Then we'll drop to 65 till about 3 o'clock. And then as the sun is coming up, we'll have the temperature starting off in the lower 60s. But the winds are going to be calm as they shift out of the north. And then they'll be shifting out of the west going into all of tomorrow, with mostly sunny skies going into the weekend. Now, we're going to be talking about your weekend weather as well as the first week of fall coming up in your full forecast. Until then, back to you, Christina.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Well, according to DelDOT, the Lighthouse Road Bridge in Fenwick Island was built in 1957, and DelDOT says it is still safe to drive on, but the beams on the bridge have really reached the end of their service. DelDOT is planning to start work on the bridge this October, and as Kevin Zappe reports, the first phase includes creating a temporary sidewalk.
Pam Goodman's only way out of her development sits right next to the Fenwick Island Bridge. With construction expected to begin this October, Goodman says one issue comes to mind.
Traffic. We already have a severe problem getting out of our street as it is.
DelDOT hosted a public workshop today to discuss the upcoming replacement of the bridge. Plans call for a full replacement with a longer and wider structure that includes sidewalks and bike lanes. According to DelDOT, the bridge won't fully close, but drivers should expect single-lane closures during parts of construction. DelDOT says this project will cost around $50 million, which will be funded by federal dollars. Susan Gretz, who also lives next to the bridge, says traffic may be a concern, but fixing the structure can't wait.
It sounds like the repair of the bridge is a necessity, so the later in the year would be the best.
Goodman agrees, saying the age of the bridge means something has to be done.
The bridge is old, so they're going to have to do something sooner or later.
DelDOT says construction will be limited to the winter months, running from October through May.
That was Kevin Zappe reporting, and according to DelDOT, the project will have 4 different phases that will span between now and May 2028. This does bring us to our CoastTV poll. We want to know what you think matters most in replacing Fenwick's bridge. Looking at the results, 51% say wider lanes, 4% stronger build, 6% think a faster timeline, 39% say pedestrian space. And we really want to know what you think, so head over to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. You can vote yourself. Now to Kent County, where a beloved park is now one step closer to a new future. In June, the county announced Piccadilly Castle at Brecknock Park will be replaced due to aging infrastructure. A public survey with more than 500 responses showed that many neighbors say they want to preserve the park's nostalgic feel, with more than half prioritizing the natural wood look of the current design. Open-ended comments confirmed honoring the park's past as the top priority, and leaders say they will use that input to guide the redesign.
We're going to listen, and we're going to try our do best to make sure that this is as good moving forward as it was in the past.
Officials say the next step is to form a committee to review playground designs and narrow proposals based on community feedback. Once options are selected, they will be shared with the public before seeking levy court approval. Construction is expected to begin late next year. And we are just getting started tonight at 11. Coming up, the decline of teen drivers. 16-year-olds just aren't getting behind the wheel like they used to. Why experts say it's more than just a personal choice. And coming up, Koopman's Collection. One Delaware Veterans Museum blends military history, motorsports, and more, and it's this week's Coastal Connections.
Here's a look at your Bay forecast. Lots of sunshine and temperatures in the mid to upper 80s on Friday. We settled into the 70s over the weekend, but we're not concerned about any precipitation. Your weekend weather is looking really good.
From the romance of racing to the heartbreak of war, one Delaware man seems to have done it all. But instead of telling you about his life experiences, he prefers to show you. In this week's Coastal Connections, Emma Aiken introduces us to a man who has turned his incredible life into a private museum.
Look, you could feel the helmets.
Crazy.
That's something. You see, it's all sealed up yet.
That's how most interactions go at Walter Koopman's private museum in Lincoln.
But I really enjoy this because this is all very educational history. Okay? There's nothing that you wouldn't want to show grandmom.
A pandemic project became an intricate display showcasing many historical events, many that Koopman lived himself.
When you do something and you've had your hands on it, or you've actually been involved in this, you don't have to make a story up.
Koopman says it's those firsthand experiences, like being the first American to win the Prix de Paris, that make it easy to give people a memorable visit.
And these are all the places that I've raced in Europe and then all over the United States.
All things cars, small models, to super speed racers that he's driven, each collectible with a unique story that Koopman can tell.
Well, after World War II, this was the economy car for the country of France. It was the people's car.
Koopman says his passion for racing grew during his downtime as a liaison in the Korean War. After serving in the Korean War and spending 27 total years in the Army, Koopman wanted to make sure Korean War veterans are remembered and represented here at home. He helped bring this memorial to Georgetown.
And since it's Sussex County, these are the 14 names of the deceased who were actually killed in action.
Koopman's museum showcases many eras and groups. The Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Tuskegee Airmen, World War II, International Automotive Racing, and the Sports Car Club of America.
He did 409 combat missions between World War II, Korea, and Vietnam.
And a lot of the memorabilia represents Koopman's dedication to serving others.
I would want people to remember me as a giving person.
Beyond his military service, Koopman is involved with the Korean War Veterans Association, the Cheer Community Center, and has served in countless other ways through historical exhibition, advocacy, and outreach.
My thing is public service.
Which is why Koopman's collection is free to visit. He only requests that you schedule an appointment so he can be directly involved in shaping your experience. From wheels to wings and a world of wisdom, Koopman leaves us with this.
I believe that life is a special occasion, and don't let it pass you by. Enjoy every day, because we have no guarantee we'll be here tomorrow.
For Coastal Connections, I'm Emma Aiken.
WRK, you know, what's his name, put him on there.
Right now, we're enjoying mostly clear skies, high pressure and control of our weather, although we have a bit of a trough just to our west. It's no big deal. Just enjoy the weekend. That's going to be the big deal. Right now in Dover, we're holding at about a cool 69 degrees, but there's a good deal of moisture in the atmosphere because the dew point temperature is in the mid-60s right along with it, and we're going to stay in the mid-60s throughout the rest of the night under mostly clear skies. Now, although we have a good deal of moisture in the atmosphere because the dew point temperature is indeed so high, It's not enough for us to start forming any. We're not seeing much in the way of condensation right now. Cloud cover staying limited to non-existent. We're at 66 degrees currently in Milton, 65 right now in Redden, Bridgeville, Laurel, as well as Millsboro, 68 degrees in Indian River Inlet and for Rehoboth Beach. Now, we got a chance to warm to 77 degrees in several locations, Georgetown, Cambridge, as well as Wallops Island, 78 for the high, and Salisbury, and 74 Ocean City. See, with this live radar, we're just totally clear. Here's that trough I mentioned a little bit earlier for you, and it's just not causing much of a stir in the atmosphere. So tomorrow, we're looking for increasing sunshine and 86 for the high in Georgetown and in Lewes, 85 for the high in Laurel. We'll warm to 81 in Cambridge, 85 in Federalsburg, as well as Vienna, and hey, 85 degrees in Denton. And we'll warm to 85 in Berlin, as well as Ocean City, and 4 degrees cooler than that in Chincoteague. Now, when you think about how things are expected to set up over the coast, first and foremost, we'll have the majority of the winds coming out of the west at about 9 to 12 miles per hour. So not too breezy this time around. We are expecting a few more clouds in Lewes than, let's say, all the other locations where we're going to enjoy mostly sunny skies. You see, Friday we have a good deal of sunshine. It's not going to slow us down. Saturday morning we start off in the 60s. The winds are going to be coming off of the water. It's going to be a little foggy actually towards Fenwick Island, Ocean City briefly, but other than that, we're going to stay pretty clear everywhere else Saturday. Saturday afternoon, we'll see the cloud cover begin to make its move because of this tremendous amount of push coming off of the water. That's going to set things up. Now, because we're under high pressure, we're looking at the ache alert not to be a problem for us for right now. But we'll go into low pressure Tuesday going into Tuesday evening. That's where the red is. And so expect for the knee joints to start to ache by the time we get to next week. And let's take a quick peek at Tropical Storm Gabrielle, will be a Category 2 eventually, but even with the outside, look at that latest run has pulled it beyond 700 miles away from us. Yeah, this one ain't bothering us this time around, okay? Sunshine in Chincoteague on Friday, partly cloudy skies Saturday and Sunday from the 80s into the 70s. We're looking at that same pattern in Fenwick Island, sunny in 80s, then we're going to the 70s, and then a 10-degree difference by the time we get to Sunday. Lewes, 83, then 75, then 72. Although we're looking for increasing cloud cover, we're not necessarily concerned about rain. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Remember, the first day of fall kicks off on Monday.
All right, thank you, Paul. Well, Tesla is looking into redesigning its car doors. This comes after many reported issues with the door handles. That's according to an investigation by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. An investigation by Bloomberg found 140 cases of people being trapped in their Teslas due to problems with those door handles, including several that resulted in horrific injuries. It is unclear if Tesla is working on a fix for all of its cars or just the new ones. Now to an interesting trend when it comes to how much we are driving. New figures from the Federal Highway Administration show the average American is driving 5% less compared to 20 years ago. And even more eye-opening, young drivers are the main reason why. Many just don't want a license. Reporter Adam Tuss is talking with young drivers and experts about this trend and has the report.
Here at the DMV,
this road sign means
younger drivers like Lyra telling us why they have to get behind the wheel.
I just got a job out in Virginia, so I needed to get a car again, but I didn't have a car for like 7 years before this.
And she agrees not everyone wants or needs to drive.
Honestly, I think it depends, like if you're in a city, if you're not in a city, yeah.
AAA says the trend of younger drivers not getting behind the wheel is very real.
Certainly what we're seeing at AAA and what I've even seen anecdotally in my own household and with my daughter's friends. We have a 17-year-old who she and most of her friends have very little interest in driving.
Look, it's not just anecdotal evidence. The numbers are also backing this up. If you go back 40 years ago and take a look at the number of 16-year-olds who had their driver's license, that number would have come in around 50%. Go back to 2021, and that number has dropped to 25%.
Those numbers from the U.S. Department of Transportation. Researchers at UCLA wanted to take an even closer look at the reason for the decline and found that a lot of tasks that required a car before, like shopping, don't require a car now. Social media also plays a role, as younger people can connect easily. And concerns about other dangerous drivers could be holding some other younger drivers back.
Yes, I have seen in the highway, like the ones that just are going super fast and moving from lane to lane.
Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of that at AAA with the dangers on the roadways, with the risky driving behaviors, with the road rage incidents rising. So that in many ways has, I believe, curbed the interest and enthusiasm of some young people.
Now, all of this doesn't just make a trend. It will impact transportation policy down the line. Road design and funding for road projects may have to be adjusted based on the data.
Coming up in sports, it's the Salisbury City rivalry. Parkside and James M. Bennett do battle on the gridiron. DSN will recap which team got their second win of the season. And coming up, CDC vaccine advisors just wrapped up a key meeting. What could change for kids' vaccine schedules?
This is CoastTV News at 11.
The Delaware Department of Health and Social Services says there are now 5 harm reduction vending machines in Delaware. These yellow machines help prevent overdoses, and they provide Narcan, fentanyl test strips, wound care kits, and deterra bags. Other tools may be available based on donations. The resources are free, and they're designed for anonymous use. Locations in Delaware around here include in Dover, Milford, and Georgetown. Well, a key federal advisory panel voting today on making changes to the U.S. childhood vaccine schedule. The Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, or ACIP, has undergone a major shakeup in recent weeks. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. handpicked all new members for the panel. Sherelle Hubbard has details on the vote in today's meeting.
Members voted 8-3 against recommending the MMRV vaccine for children younger than 4, instead recommending young children get the measles, mumps, and rubella shot separately from the varicella or chickenpox vaccine. The panel is newly installed under HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a longtime vaccine skeptic.
The fact is that we are honest vaccine scientists that let the data speak whether the results go in one direction or the other.
The new head of the advisory committee pushed back on criticism that the panel is anti-vaccine. Their recommendation is expected to shape doctors' guidance to patients, state vaccine policy, as well as access and insurance coverage.
I do want to stress that the ACIP committee used to be this anonymous group of subject matter experts. Now this has become this politicized show.
The panel's vote isn't final and must be approved by the director of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. But with no permanent CDC director in place, the committee's decision could get final sign-off from Kennedy. Meanwhile, the panel chair had a challenge to former CDC leaders.
I suggest that you should only trust scientists that are willing to debate fellow scientists with different views. I hereby invite each of the 9 former CDC directors to have a live public debate with me concerning vaccines.
A medical analyst warned that these topics are too complex to be settled through public debates. I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
And the panel is expected to meet Friday. They're expected to discuss and vote on COVID-19 vaccines for the fall and a recommendation on the hepatitis B vaccine. Moving to sports, big changes are coming to college football's transfer rules. The NCAA eliminating the spring transfer portal, leaving players with just one window to switch schools. According to a New York Times report, the NCAA, their administrative committee announced the move Wednesday, saying the spring period created too much roster instability. Now a single transfer window will open in early January, but the exact length and dates, that's going to be finalized next month. Coaches have pushed for the change, arguing a single free agency period is easier to manage, but critics argue a January start date could create difficulty for teams still competing in the college football playoffs. And it's a rivalry as old as time tonight for Thursday night football between James M. Bennett and Parkside. DSN's Tyler Aitken has more from County Stadium.
Parkside 35, J.M. Bennett 21. The final score between these two teams tonight. Tyler Aitken, Dustin Mills, thanks so much for joining us at the Wicomico County Stadium. It was a great game, the Route 12 rivalry, as you dubbed it, Dustin. So let's get right into the highlights of this one, because the scoring started right away on the second play from scrimmage. A touchdown pass from Thomas Gormley to Tavian DeShiel. Easy to the house.
Yeah, absolutely. Second play, they ran that run play the first play. Second play, they ran the play action off of it. That entire Bennett secondary bit on it, and you get a good throw there from Gormley to DeShiel.
Bennett makes a nice offensive drive, but it finishes with a 37-yard field goal miss. And so now Parkside gets the ball back, and it's not Tavian DeShiel, but Ethan Waters, who makes a bobbling catch, gets his feet down just barely to set up his offensive nicely.
Yeah, right in front of the Bennett bench is a huge momentum play there.
And then he backs that up with a touchdown catch of his own, 14-0. The Rams take the lead after that one, and then they force a fumble. It goes from bad to worse for Bennett. The ball is dropped by Marcus White Jr. Parkside gets the ball back. So how about touchdown number 3? They go back to Ethan Waters, his second touchdown of the half. Parkside dominates on offense and rolls to a 35-21 victory over J.M. Bennett. That does it for here in this great Route 12 rivalry matchup.
Here's, there we go. I was waiting for my chimes. Here's a look at your 10-day forecast. Fall starts on Monday.
All right, thanks again, Paul, and thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 11 tonight. You can always find more news, more local weather over on our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon's up next, and we'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.